Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We'll get started, and if people are joining late or if you have some colleagues who can't join, we can share today's discussion with you as a link in the video. But Dave Miller, you're president at Emam, and we are very excited about what we put together with the group at Wasabi, and very excited that we're going to an actual trade show. NAB will now be this month. That's very exciting. And as things are heating up in the industry, we're going to talk about heated media management with our Emam system and with Wasabi. So presenting today will be Chuck Bulow. He's our VP of Business Development, and Ben Bonadies. He's the solution manager at Wasabi. We'll have Q&A at the end, and we may be able to answer some questions online if you enter them in the chat or the question pod. But thanks for your interest today, and let me turn it over to my colleagues then.
All right, thanks, Dave. This is Chuck. So again, we're going to go over a few slides here, just kind of going over some of the combined solution that we have with Emam and Wasabi. And as the tagline states there, really there's no guesswork in managing media using Emam and combined with the Wasabi storage, for cost-effective and scalable, hot archive, solutions and so on for storage. And what's kind of unique about the combo here is the scalability. So we'll kind of get into all of that as we go through the webinar here this morning. So what is Emam? We'll talk about on the agenda here. What is Emam? Kind of end-to-end management of media, workflow, production, distribution, and of course archive with Wasabi. Then we'll talk about what's about all the advantages of hot and cold or hot cloud storage with Wasabi. And then of course, we'll talk about kind of the combined solution with a quick demo at the end there as well. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those into the questionnaire or question section of the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar there. So to kind of talk about Emam, for those who don't know, Emam is a media asset management system. We manage pretty much any type of content. So it could be video, audio, images, documents, PowerPoints, PDFs, and so on. We do take in content that are file-based through our API, as well as live content, and being able to store and manage all of that content into categories. It allows you then to add permissions to that storage and those assets stored there, and then being able to only have people see what they can see, based on their credentials, and of course, also their permission levels and so on, what they can do with that content as well. With Emam, you also have the ability to manage, which I'll show you today, through, say, Adobe Premiere, being able to manage the content, produce content, and then deliver it back up into Emam, and then of course distribute that as well. We do have collaboration tools built into the system, so you have the ability to kind of share the content with that, then being able to send a link. They can preview, they can do review and approve on that, accept, reject, comments, and things like that. And then of course delivery pretty much to any platform. So cloud-based, VOD, broadcast, we pretty much cover the gamut, social media as well, of course. And then of course with archive up to the Wasabi storage up in the cloud as well. So looking at Emam, this is our interface here. It is web-based. It is a solution where you can actually design your own interface here with the what we call widgets and so on. So you can place one or multiple widgets up on the screen, depending on what you're doing. And I'll show you a little bit about the interface a little bit more. But the idea is that you can collect the data, the media, put it into Wasabi storage, be able to call it back, then use it into production, and then of course distribute that and then archive whatever content you've produced there as well, but easily managed all through the Emam system. So again, being able to upload the content with this storage in the cloud and so on, and possibly with Emam in the cloud as well, the upload process is quite easy. Pretty much anybody around the world could upload and download that media as well, either through the interface, also through Adobe Premiere, which I'll show you how that's done, and then of course produce, deliver back up to the cloud, edit globally, pretty much anywhere around the world, and then also now over the last few years with the introduction of AI tagging, being able to do facial recognition, speech to text, keywords, and so on. Collaboration is really key for us as well. So being able to share the content with internal users as well as external users, being able to have them preview the content, download original or proxy, and be able to add markers, subclips, and internal users being able to do like annotations, even draw on the screen, circle things, and so on for collaboration and sharing some ideas and maybe corrections and so on video. And then of course, like with the Wasabi storage, being able to share the content, but then also archive the content for retrieval. Within the Emam system, we keep the proxies plus the metadata for searching. You find the content, and then you can actually call back that content at any time. So quite easy to kind of share that content and so on. The Emam license itself for the Emam software, you can either purchase a license, place it locally or in the cloud. You can also do an annual subscription, so kind of keeping your costs down in the beginning and just paying an annual fee for a subscription to the license. We also have a pass model up in the AWS marketplace, so you could actually configure the Emam system in your own platform on AWS with your own EC2 servers and of course your storage as well. And then our licenses are all based on feature sets and the number of users within that. So the bundles we have going from left to right, the Vault system is typically just something where you're storing it in the cloud and so on. You can preview, search and preview, and then of course download and so on, but keeping things safe locally or in the cloud. Our Publish, next bundle there, the Publish, adds the ability to kind of share and deliver that content pretty much anywhere around the world. And then of course Workgroup, that adds more production management, being able to share content with productions, store production files and so on, and then being able to check in, check out kind of productions, and then be able to produce, and then of course deliver, collaborate and share as well. And then Enterprise is more of a scalable system where you're able to add more components of Emam and be able to then manage, tens of thousands of users, millions and millions of assets and so on. So it's a scalable system. And in any case on our licenses, you can always add and move up the ladder on the license options there as well. All right. We're also in the clouds environments with AWS, of course, Alibaba. The system can run also in Google, Azure, and in local private cloud systems as well. Really no IT support. You can launch the system up in the cloud, use some of the services that say AWS or Alibaba or the others use for security, and then managing all your content. And then of course backup and recover of media as well. So, all right, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Wasabi and let them go through their slides there. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you, Chuck. And thanks to the whole Emam team for having me. This is really an honor. So what is Wasabi? Well, Wasabi is cloud storage, plain and simple. We're low cost, high performance, secure object storage as a service. We were founded in 2015 by Jeff Flowers and David Friend, the duo behind the pioneering and wildly successful data backup and archive service Carbonite. And what sets Wasabi apart from our customers is that Wasabi does one thing and one thing only, and that's cloud storage. Our competitors, some names you might recognize, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they offer a wide array of services and very fine products, but we think that they don't do any one thing best. And that's exactly what Wasabi set out to do, right? Wasabi is the most affordable, simple, scalable, easy to understand, and just flat out best cloud storage on the market. And we have thousands of customers and partners across all verticals around the world as living proof. Wasabi Advantage comes down really to three things, right? Price, performance, protection. You can't talk about Wasabi without talking about price. We're 80% less expensive than Amazon S3, and on top of that, we don't charge for things like egress or API requests. Now, not only does that make us overall more affordable, but it also makes us predictable month to month. See, the hyperscalers, they're relying on the fact that you don't know exactly how much storage you're going to be using month to month. It's great for their bottom line, but it's not for yours. At Wasabi, we'll never charge you to access your data or run a diagnostic or anything else you want to do because your data is your data. That's Wasabi's price. Simple, affordable, easy to understand, no hidden fees. Wasabi is hot cloud storage, meaning that we never turn our servers off as a cost-saving measure, making your data available all the time instantly. We boast high read and write speeds, and customers who have switched from Amazon to Wasabi report that their performance is the same, if not better, than what they were getting with S3. We also have private network options, right, where you can connect a private IP portal directly from your location to Wasabi data center for fast and secure upload and ingest. And which brings me to protection, something we take very seriously at Wasabi, security. All of our data centers around the world are secured as SOC 2 compliance, which means that we're up to date with the highest security standards in the data center world. All of our data is encrypted at rest and in transit. We have 11 nines of data durability, which is up there with the best in the business. And we have immutable options for storage, meaning you can earmark certain sets of data to be unable to be deleted or altered for a set period of time. Here's a map of Wasabi's storage regions. This is really my favorite slide in our deck. I started at Wasabi 4 years ago, and I remember when we were just one little speck there at US East 1 in Virginia, and now you can see we have expanded all over the world. We've just opened data centers in Frankfurt, Germany, and Toronto, and we're opening more all the time, with Sydney, Australia, and Singapore coming next. And this is just a really spectacular moment of growth for Wasabi. We are extremely fortunate to work with some extremely exciting and innovative media and entertainment companies at Wasabi. This is a quote from Jason Davidson over at Legendary, to whom congratulations are in order. His film Dune, not his film, the studio's film Dune, just won big at the Academy Awards last week. Jason and the Legendary team are using Wasabi as a way to centralize their storage, right? Get rid of some silos there, and as a way to enable their remote editors early in the pandemic when they began working from home. In the bottom right here, you'll see some other Wasabi customers, some names you might recognize, some you might not. In the bottom right there, Ryan Media is a medium-sized video production company out of my home state of Connecticut. And I've included them here to show that the cloud storage solution for media and entertainment is not reserved for the biggest studios in Hollywood. This solution cuts across all levels of the industry, from small B2B shops to the biggest Hollywood studios.
Great. Appreciate it, Ben. All right, so kind of going through, the combination between Wasabi and Emam, being able to kind of scale as needed and so on. Of course, as Ben was showing, being able to go worldwide with their storage. Emam has the ability then to manage multiple locations. So you could have one location or add more locations for Emam to manage, and then have local folks upload to those locations, or then centralize it. It really doesn't matter. So being able to kind of share that content and then being able to store it pretty much anywhere around the world is a great thing to have. So here are some of the options that you have on deployment. So again, is Emam on the license? You can run it on local servers with local, say, transcoders, and of course editors like Premiere, Final Cut, or Avid on local SANs and things like that. So you can store that. And then we can also use Wasabi storage on the cloud side for archive. So the idea would be is that as media does come in, you can immediately archive it and copy it up into the archive location in Wasabi, but then still keep a copy of it down on the NAS or SAN to do production work. And then once you're done with your production, you can put all of the project and the sequences that you put together, put that up into archive as well. But again, the idea really is to keep things safe or a copy locally, but then of course also in a safe storage up in Wasabi there as well. We also have the ability to run everything in the cloud. So that, in the case we're going to show today, I'm in AWS and we're connected with the Wasabi storage for the demo today, but it's basically our Emam license, our servers running on EC2 servers up in the cloud, connected to the Wasabi storage for both archive, and then I'm pulling it in from for production as well. So I have some items that are archived and then some that are ready for me to use, say within Adobe Premiere. So again, flexibility is really the key thing here, where I can have it ready for production, or I can have it just as a copy in Wasabi for archive, or both. So again, you know, we can do pretty much anything. Remote editors then have the ability to kind of pull down. I'm in Nashville, so I'm going to be pulling down from the cloud, from the Wasabi storage in the cloud, and then using it in Adobe Premiere for the demo. And the way we do this is inside of Adobe Premiere, also with Final Cut, we have panels or extensions that have a window into the Emam database. So Emam, of course, then manages all the content, puts it in projects, and stores it, and also assigns it to categories to kind of organize all your content, add metadata, and so on. But through the panel, the editors then can view all the assets, search for projects, and then be able to then go in and find individual assets and so on, or a group of assets based on category assignments, and then import that into their project there as well. On Final Cut side, same thing. So Final Cut users, Final Cut 10, you're able to open up the extension and then be able to look into the Emam database, find all the content, say based on a category, and then import in all that media. Now, of course, if it's stored locally, of course, you don't have to download it or anything from the cloud, but the idea really here is that it's available to you. Even if it's stored in archive, we could restore it and then drop it into your project there as well. So now, if you've heard of Lucid Link, this is also another option, which is quite interesting, where Emam would, media is uploaded into Emam, it's centrally stored, and then using a Lucid Link file system with Wasabi storage, editors can actually work remote, but have the Wasabi storage mounted to their local system, and they don't have to do any kind of downloading. So at that point, it's a mounted storage. It streams then to the, say, Premiere location or Final Cut location, being able to then edit that content, put projects together, and then export that back up into the Emam system. This gives editors the best flexibility without having to download if they've got a poor connection and so on. You can also work with workstations in the cloud as well, so that's also another option. But Lucid Link might be something you also want to check out there as well. So if you want to go to our websites, we're at emamcloud.com and emamsolutions.com. And then, of course, Wasabi's at the wasabi.com site. All right, so quickly we're going to go, and hopefully with the demo gods are going to work with us today. So what we've done is we've set up under Emam a couple of storage locations. So we have an archives storage location, and then we also have a production storage location. And so the media here, this is stored in one of the Wasabi storage locations that I'm just going to edit from and use. But I also have media that's stored in archive as well. So there's just a couple of ways. I just wanted to show you just different ways of being able to do things. If you look at these assets here, and then I look at the file version, as I mentioned before, you can see that it's in the local storage Wasabi, but then also in the archive storage location. So in this case here, excuse me, you're able to make a copy and put it up in Wasabi archive storage, but then also have still storage locally that you can work with there as well. So again, within Emam, we store everything in categories and so on, and make assignments and so on. So this is kind of how we would import into Adobe Premiere, for example. So I'll jump over to Adobe Premiere. We'll widen this out a little bit. So I can actually then take this content that's in production storage that I have available to me that's not been archived yet, but I can actually then import this content. And the nice thing about the Emam system and using Wasabi storage is I can actually create a proxy version and work offline, or work with the original content and then localize that. Now, if I were using Lucid Link connection with Wasabi storage, I would use Link and there'd be no downloading. I also have an option here to localize, which is what I'm going to do here today. And then I also have another one of our technologies from Drastic Media Reactor. It's a software that allows you to actually stream from the storage as well. So many options here, and again, proxy versus original, but I'm going to go ahead and just localize the media here. And so it would localize very quickly and then bring down all the content. And of course, then I can kind of go in and actually then create a sequence here real quick. Not an editor here, but we're going to go ahead and do just a couple of edits. Don't want to pretend that I am one, so we'll do that. And then I'll just take my sequence here and we'll call this Wasabi sequence. And so once editors are done with the edits, but before that, I could also let you know that you can kind of go in and look at other content, search for content. You have various ways in which you can find content all within the Emam system. And then maybe things based on most recent or ingested or ordered by and so on. You have a lot of capabilities of search all within this panel here. If I also have projects here already, I could also import those as well, and so on. But I brought those in based on a category, and of course there was a whole number of assets that were there. And then once I'm done with that, I can then export this. And with this, have the ability to, by the way, I could also import local content there as well. I'm going to create a temporary project here, and then I could go ahead and create a sequence, for example, and put that into Wasabi storage. And then of course I could use a local transcoder or server-based transcoder, add some project notes there as well. I could assign it to the categories. And of course this would be, whoops, wrong one. There we go. Say in this project here, I can do that and assign it to a category. And then of course add user tags, and then any metadata would be associated with any new media that's added to it. So the idea here is that I pulled it down from Wasabi storage. I'm local now here in Nashville. I've done my edits. I'm going to add it. And what it's doing now is it's taking this temp project, which I probably should have called it something else, but we'll go ahead and do that. Is now it uploaded that project with my edits and with the project sequence and all the media. And of course, it didn't have to upload the media to Emam because it's already there, and the panel does recognize that. So now if I went back into the Emam system, and then there's the last couple things I'll show here real quick, and then we'll go to some questions. But in production here and so on, then I can see that the temp project's there, and see that I've got a version, first version of it. And of course, if someone other like John or Ben were to check out this project and they did their edits and checked it back into the Emam system, of course, we'd have multiple versions here as well. So with that, I'll kind of turn it over to Dave, and we will see if we have any questions.
All right, the first is, where's the mute button? Thanks. So yeah, the first one was about NAB. So you guys want to tell us the options at NAB?
Yeah, we're going to be at NAB all week. Wasabi is booth, oh gosh, N6631. And we're going to be hosting an Emam talk with Chuck. So if you didn't get enough Chuck today, you can have some more in Las Vegas if you'll be attending. I think that talk is going to be 5 p.m. on the 24th.
Okay, and then I think I can answer that one for Chuck. And so Emam will have a booth, and happy to set up meetings, everything else, and we'll be on the West Hall. That's a new thing. So W4109. Anybody wants to meet with us, we'd be happy, and of course online as well. Let's see, so other questions that that weren't already answered. Give people, I think these were all answered. But yeah, and to repeat, if you know, let us know if you want a copy of the recording, and happy to share that with you, and or the pitch deck, and we can certainly, you know, talk to you about setting up testing system or a discussion with your team or your partners. We're excited to do that. And I don't see any more questions coming in. Oh, I spoke too soon. Oops. Okay, so let me read this. How is Lucid Link integrated with Emam? Do we need to install separate software locally or just enter the credentials, file space, username, password, and Emam would connect? Some other solutions that would require additional software on local machines as well as the transcode software. Chuck, you want to speak to that one?
So on the Lucid Link side, it's a file system, so you do need to put a client on the Emam server, and then also a local client software as well. So I have a local client software that I'm connected with here with storage, and that could be our Wasabi storage, and then that gives me the ability to kind of look directly into the Wasabi storage, in cloud storage for editing. And so all that downloading and so on, when I import it, I would just hit link versus download or localize, because I would have direct access to the media based on that.
Okay. Hopefully that answers that question. Any other questions today? And of course you can hit us on as it says here, another question coming in. Understood from the Premiere side, but how is it integrated into Emam Web? Which is to say, accessing the Wasabi storage.
Emam Web.
Our director interface.
So the connection with the Wasabi storage is all through our setup and configuration through what we call super admin, and you set up the storage locations. I'm hoping I'm answering the question right. And with those storage locations, I can then set up what we call delivery profiles that are specific. So in some cases where you want a copy of it automatically sent to the archive location, we could set up the profile to say deliver to production, but then also deliver to the archive, Wasabi archive location. And then you have a backup automatically for it. And then from there, I can, select items and then, restore items here. We have a restore button here, or I have, if I've taken a whole package, like this one Wasabi group here in archive, it's called some of the demo copies from Adobe. I can just go ahead and select this and hit the restore button, and it'll bring back into production storage, and then I can actually then use that and edit that within Adobe Premiere. So this has full access here. This also shows, the Wasabi storage. I can also go in and look at the Wasabi archive storage and see what content's there as well. So we have a direct connect, and it's all because we're setting all of this up within our super admin interface for that. Hope I answered that question.
Yeah, see if there's any more questions. Obviously, the non-technical or remote people are going to use the web interface, and the more technical folks are going to use the Adobe apps for accessing the media. Any more questions today? If not, thank you everybody for your interest today, and let us know if any further questions you have or you want to learn more about our systems. And thanks so much for your attendance today. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, John. Thanks, David.
Learn more at emamsolutions.com or emamcloud.com.